That was President Trump just moments ago. Now, being taken advantage of on the world stage currently is in flux, and this is what it looks like. Reportedly, these are the countries who have called and are willing to negotiate with America: Israel, Japan, United Kingdom, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, India, South Korea, and on, including the European Union. How about the countries that have chosen to retaliate with their tariffs on the United States? That list includes China. Let's take a look at the Chinese index and how it behaved over the last 24 hours, down 7.3%. It was rough in Asia. The Hong Kong markets were down about 13%. But the path to peace and the path to negotiation seems to be more prosperous right now than the path of retaliation. Tariffs being the big story, they deserve more than a picture. They deserve a deep dive. That brings us to today's big three. What happens when you panic? You've panicked, I've panicked, we've all had a moment. What happens? The world closes in around you. Your vision narrows. You see only what's in front of your face. That's the same as it is for markets. Markets are voting mechanisms. They're short-term meters of people's sentiment, confidence versus panic. And one day tells you not very much about the future of the American economy. And there's a difference between markets and economies. That was laid out very well by Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Their economies are not crashing. Their markets are reacting to a dramatic change in the global order in terms of trade. And so what happens is pretty straightforward. If you're a company and you make a bunch of your products in China, and all of a sudden shareholders or people that play the stock market realize that it's going to cost a lot more to produce in China, your stock is going to go down. But ultimately, the markets, as long as they know what the rules are going to be moving forward, and as long as that's set and you can sustain where you're going to be, the markets will adjust. We need to get back to a time where we're a country that can make things, and to do that, we have to reset the global order of trade.
So while markets fluctuate, what are the fundamentals of the economy? It's been addressed by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. It's been addressed by the Secretary of State. Here's what oil prices look like before the tariffs. They've been trending down. Oil prices down, I think, about 15% since the announcement of tariffs. That matters to you when you go to the gas station. I would imagine it also matters to you when you go to the bank and look for a mortgage on your home. 30-year mortgage rates also, like oil, trending lower. The fundamentals of the American economy, including unemployment, look strong, despite the fluctuations of the market. Now, it is worth as well looking for a bigger picture when it comes to markets. If panic is all we can see in front of our face, a plan is what we can see when we look at a bigger picture. Here's what happens in markets when they have bad days. There have been bear markets in our past, and the S&P 500 has looked at an average of the recovery over those bear markets. When you have a bad day, when you might hit a recession, and the average recovery time for one of these is 18.9 months. It's also worth saying, how bad has this day been? How bad was it Friday? How bad was it Thursday? Well, the S&P 500 over the last 5 years, if you'd invested your money starting 5 years ago, is up 91%. If you had invested your money simply in the last 5 months, I heard earlier today said on CNBC, then you might be in a bit of trouble. But most people don't invest for 1, 2, 3, or 5 months. And unless you need to pull your 401k out today, what's happened on Wall Street doesn't necessarily hurt you, as long as you're in for the big picture, the plan. And I want you to take a look at the Dow since 2020 and what it's looked like over time. You can see where we are today, and you can see where the panic is, the last little blip at the edge of that screen. It's always worth understanding the big picture and not the panic. Let's see if we can figure out the plan with Fox Business anchor David Asman.